It needs to get better. It's getting better. I'm taking French online on an app, but we're not here to talk about my French. We're here to talk about French wine. Stephie, welcome back to Stephie's Wine Club. Today we're trying something a little bit different, and it's kind of to elaborate on a video I've already done, which was the Wine Basics wine tasting. I thought it might be fun to explore a new type of wine that I've never tried before, and I'm guessing many people haven't tried before because it's quite a small specific area in France that this wine comes from. And also to go walk through step by step the tasting process in real life, real time, and see how that actually works. Because I know, like, just telling you, oh, pay attention to color, oh, pay attention to acidity, oh, pay attention to tannin, like, it doesn't really give you a real sense of what you're supposed to be doing while I was doing it. So now that you have the basics down, I wanted to sort of walk through the actual steps with you. So the wine we're going to be talking about today is this lovely Saint-Romain wine. It's Appellation Saint-Romain Contrôlée, Côte de Bon, Bourgogne, France. And I'm hoping I said that all right. I'm very sorry to any French people I've insulted. I'm trying my best, but sometimes your mouth just doesn't want to go the way you want your mouth to go. Alright, so this is 2013. I got it on sale at the liquor store near me. I think because for a white wine, it's a bit older, but I did just a quick taste and it's not corked. It tastes totally fine. It tastes really good, actually. So I wanted to break this down for you, do a bit of an in-depth tasting, and then research a bit and tell you what I found out about the wine just through using the Googles and my brain. So let's get started. The first thing, of course, we're going to want to do is use our sight, like I talked about in the other video. And we're going to tilt the glass. You always tilt the glass. To tilt the glass forward a bit, and we're going to look at the color. Now, to me, this wine is colored sort of medium to deep golden color. It's definitely not yellow, like lemon yellow or pale yellow. It's definitely more of a golden yellow. To me, there is a slight difference between the rim and the center, and sometimes that's just because of the clarity of the wine. On the edges, there's a thinner layer of wine, and then closer to the center, there's more concentration of pigment in the wine, but also sometimes a little bit of differentiation in a white can suggest some age, which makes sense because this is a 2013, and that's pretty much the most we age whites for, is like 3 to 5 years. And we can also notice that there is no effervescence, no bubbles hanging around, so that kind of rules out Moscatos, a few types of sweet wine, definitely sparkling wine and champagne, so we know it's going to be a still table wine. Now we're going to move on to our nose, and of course this wine is cooled. I served it at like a proper serving temperature, but I don't like these glasses actually because your hand warms it up. I prefer stemmed glasses, but I just don't have mine with me right now, so this will totally do. Glassware for me is, it adds to the experience if you have access to it, but it's not going to ruin a nice wine. A nice wine is going to taste good out of whatever you want to drink it out of, in my opinion. So we're going to give this a little swirl, and what that does is it helps aerate it a little bit, get more of the wine in contact with air, and also lifts away any odors that were just hanging around the bottle, and opens up the palate for you so that when you smell it, you get some proper sort of well-defined flavors that hit you on the nose. So take a deep whiff there. First thing that jumps out at me is a bit of toastiness, so I'm guessing there's been some oak, some floral, some like orange blossom, some maybe unripe pear. Hard to tell on the nose for me sometimes when it comes to minerally, but I get maybe a little bit of that sort of fresh, crisp air, sort of mineral sensation. Like a bouquet of like citrus blossoms and pear, maybe some vanilla, some toastiness. It smells really, really good. I'm a fan. Taste, I'm just gonna take a sip and swish around my mouth a little bit. When I'm in private, I can be a little more obnoxious with my swishing around, make sure I get it everywhere. When I'm in public, I tend to keep it very subtle swish. Like I think I showed a very subtle swish in my first tasting video, but I'm gonna do a more aggressive swish today because I really want to get some of those flavors out, and it helps move it around your mouth and put a little bit more air into it again, which is good for bringing out the character in the wine. The absolute first thing that hits me is like orange. Like that acidity when you take your first sip of orange juice in the morning, it just kind of hits you and wakes you up. That's the first note I get on this wine, and then it kind of transforms into a more toasty, sort of oaky sensation. Let's get a bit of like raisin, a little bit more jammy, like underneath that really fresh orange, get a little bit of raisin, maybe a little bit of marmalade with that bitterness of the orange peel. Still a lot of acid, which for such an old or a bit of an aged white wine is impressive to me. Yeah, this would go really well with like something creamy. Like not anything sweet, but something creamy, like some soft cheese, I think, because it really does have that biting acidity. Also, you do definitely get that that mineral note, that sort of chalkiness to me. I like that mineral water taste. Like it doesn't just taste like normal water, you can taste some of the minerality in there. That's what a mineral wine is like. You can kind of taste some of the minerals that were maybe in the soil at the time. We'll have to see. I don't actually know what kind of soil is found here yet, but I'm going to do some research after and we're going to talk about it. But yeah, get some minerally, a little bit of vegetal, like when you bite into a green bell pepper and you get a little bit of that, a little bit of spice, but not like hot spice, but just like a little bit of kick. I think this definitely has some new oak used on it, which I'm a fan of. I like oak on my Chardonnays, but it's not everyone's cup of tea. So keep that in mind if you really don't like oak Chardonnays at all. But I think this strikes quite a nice balance, and it's not like super oaky. It's not all you taste. You do still have a lot of acidity in there, but I find it's quite balancing. And the last thing I'm noticing is the finish. It's still going. Like it's quite a long finish, quite a complex finish. Of course, it sort of starts at that really acidic and it moves into sort of a more oaky, toasty sort of flavor. And then you get that raisin, and it kind of just all continues in a medley together for a while. And a long finish doesn't always, but usually it means a well-made wine, because if you can get those flavors to stick around and still taste good in your mouth while you're eating and doing all that good stuff after you take a sip, that's kind of the best part of a really good wine for most people. So that's an indicator that it's a pretty good quality wine. So yeah, those are my sort of observations about it, just offhand. Hopefully I didn't sound too pretentious. But now I'm going to do some research and come back and we're going to talk a little bit about the wine itself and how it's made. All right, we're back. And I've done a little digging about this wine, and I knew it was a Chardonnay already, just because of the area in France it's grown. I knew like a tiny bit about the area, but nothing about the soil type, nothing about, I've never tried a wine from here before. So I was kind of going in like semi-blind. I could look at the alcohol percentage and I could look at where in France I thought it was, but I didn't know a whole lot going in. But I have discovered that Appellation, Saint-Romain, Contrôlée, it's elevated, but also surrounded by limestone cliffs. So what ends up happening is there's quite a bit of limestone in the terroir, but you also get these pockets of clay, which Chardonnay really grows well in, so I'm not surprised that they make Chardonnay. And it did say that in this region, wines are at least 25% new oak, so that also made sense with all the toasty notes I was getting. It's actually a little bit less oak than I thought would be in it, but yeah, it was definitely there, so yay. Wines tend to be quite minerally from the clay and the limestone soil that they're in, so that made a lot of sense. And the area it's in France is in Bourgogne, which is between Paris and Lyon, and then in this Bourgogne region it's sort of to the east and in the middle and in the Côte de Bon, and that is where Maison Ambrose is located, which is part of the Appellation, Saint-Romain, Contrôlée. It's a whole mouthful. I'm trying, guys. Bourgogne is a very old wine region in France. There's been people doing wine there for like at least 1,000 years. But let me tell you one thing, they make damn good wine. So that's a little bit about the appellation and what I think went into creating the flavor of this wine. For what I paid for this wine, I paid $31.75 while it was on sale. I looked on the website and they only have the sale price listed, so I'm not sure how much it would be normally. $30 is a bit more than I normally spend on wine, but for a French white of this caliber, I would say I got a pretty good value. I'm definitely going to be enjoying this bottle for a couple days, and I'm going to go find some cheese to eat with this. Anyways, I hope you liked this video. I know it's a little bit different structurally than my other videos. Hopefully I didn't ramble at you for too long. If you didn't like it, you can always comment or email me at stephieswineclub@gmail.com. And if you did like it, then you definitely know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe. The 3 things you can do to help me the most, except buy me wine. And until next time,